Parsha of Tavo begins with two peculiar mitzvot, the mitzvah of Mikra Bikurim and the mitzvah of Vidui Ma'asrot. What makes these mitzvot peculiar? Well, they're two of the only mitzvot that one recites something while doing something. There are many mitzvot in the Torah. We're supposed to do something. There are a number of mitzvot that involve saying something, but there are very few mitzvot where you have a separate mitzvah to do one mitzvah to do something, and then a separate mitzvah to say something in particular while doing that. And that's what these two mitzvot are. So, for example, you have Mikra Bikurim. When you bring the Bikurim, you recite this Parsha of Arami Oved Avi, etc. And when you bring the Ma'asrot, when you eliminate the Ma'asrot from the house, when you get all of the Ma'asr out of the house at the end of every 3 years, meaning within the 6 non-Shemitah years, there's 2 smaller cycles of 3 years. At the end of each of those 3 years, there's a mitzvah. You have to get all of the Ma'asrot out of the house, and there's this recitation called Vidui Ma'asrot that one says at that moment, and it's Bi'arti HaKodesh Min HaBayit, etc. Now the mitzvot of Bikurim and Ma'asrot and Trumot, Maaser Sheni, Maaser Ani, they appear elsewhere in the Torah. And it's only here that you have, there's a separate mitzvah that you're supposed to say this when you do Bi'ur Ma'asrot, and you're supposed to say this when you bring your Bikurim. To complicate the question even further is the placement of these two mitzvot. Devarim, the Sefer Devarim, broadly can be divided into 3 main sections. Right? The beginning, the middle, and the end. The middle section is the section where you have all of these mitzvot. Moshe, that's what gives it its name, Mishneh Torah. Moshe repeats hundreds of mitzvot. Right? The Parsha of Kiteitzei has itself 74 mitzvot. The end of that middle part is the beginning of Tavo. Starting with the Revi'i in Tavo, that's the end of the first 3 aliyot of Tavo are the end of Moshe's speech, and then starting with Revi'i, it moves on to something else. It moves on to the end. So this is the end of the middle part, and Moshe gave these 2 mitzvot at the tail end of the middle part, meaning after listing all these mitzvot, he puts these 2 mitzvot, where there's a mitzvah to say something in addition to do something, all the way at the end. So what's going on there? Why are they placed here? So, this approach is based on something that I heard from Rav Yosef Blau, said this in the name of his Rebbe, Rav Soloveitchik. He pointed out that these 2 mitzvot, the recitations are somewhat counterintuitive. When we think of Bikurim is a very individualistic, personal mitzvah. One comes to the field at the beginning of the growing season, and he spent months planting and plowing and irrigating. And all of a sudden, at the end of those months of waiting, he sees the first fruits. He sees the first buds of the first fruits. And he tends to be filled with pride. And the mitzvah of Bikurim takes that sense of pride, takes that sense of accomplishment, and it sublimates it so that here, you take that moment and you take that fruit and you dedicate it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ma'asrot tend to be, we think of Ma'asrot, and Ma'asrot are all about social welfare. Right? It's redistribution of wealth. It's whenever someone grows something, a certain percentage has to go to fund the Leviim and the Kohanim and the poor people, and a certain percentage has to be spent in Jerusalem because we have to keep its economy going. And so this is all about welfare. This is all about taking money from the wealthier and giving it to the needier. It's all about the collective. It's all about society. All of a sudden, so these 2 mitzvot, they are at opposite poles. One's a very individualistic mitzvah, and the other one seems to be, the other one is a very socially collective, conscious mitzvah. And if you look at the recitations that accompany each mitzvah, those recitations sort of go in the opposite directions that you would expect. The Mikra Bikurim is all about the collective story, starting with Avraham. everything is formulated in the plural. Vayareu otanu hamitzrim, vayanunu, vayitnu aleinu, vanitzak, Elokei avotenu, kolenu, amalenu, lachatzenu, yotzienu, etc., etc. It's all about our collective story, our collective narrative, culminating with the ata, v'yevi'enu el hamakom hazeh, v'yiten lanu et ha'aretz hazot, eretz zavat chalav udvash, right? That God brought us to Eretz Yisrael, gave us this land, and then, only then, does it flip back to the singular, ve'ata hinei heveiti et reshit pri adama asher natata li Hashem. Right? So it's within this broader national collective context that God gave this land to the entire Jewish people. I see my part in that as a sliver. Right? I'm bringing the first fruits of this land that God gave to all of us. Right? It's part of that story. Now, if you look at the other one, everything's formulated in the singular. When you look at the Vidoy Ma'asrot, everything is singular. BRT HaKodesh min habayit. Netativ lalevi v'lager layatom. K'chol mitzvatcha asher tzivitani. You, God, commanded me. There's no collective here. God commanded me directly. Lo avarti mimitzvotav. Lo shachachti. Lo achalti ve'oni mimenu. Lo viarti mimenu betamei. Lo natati mimenu lemet. Shamati. Asiti. All in the singular. Only at the end is it hashkifa mimeon katshecha min hashamayim vorechet amcha et Yisrael ve'et ha'adama asher natata lanu. But the focus is on the individual. So what seems to be going on here is that there's a sense that you might be tempted to think of mitzvot as individual commandments for the individual, or you might tend to think of the mitzvot as recipes for creating a collective. Come along these two viduyim, come along these two recitations, and they say, don't lose sight of either side. Even in the mitzvah that has ostensibly the most individualistic dimension, don't forget to place that in a broader context of the collective. And even the mitzvah that is most socially conscious, and the mitzvah that's all about providing for the needier and for the collective society, so don't forget that this is also the function of an individual commandment from God to you personally. K'chol mitzvatcha asher tzivitani. You, God, commanded me. And so, it's at this juncture, it's at this moment, this is the last mitzvot that Moshe is saying to you, that Moshe is giving to us. He's saying, don't forget either of those dimensions. Both of those dimensions are important in every mitzvah.